Thank you, everybody. All right, thank you, everybody. Before we start, we are Quinteto Latino. My name is Armando, and I'm the founder and the executive director of Quinteto Latino. Everyone's going to introduce themselves and be speaking during the workshop, so you get a chance to meet everybody. And what we're going to do is we're going to be playing and talking and setting up some discussion points. Then about a third of the way through our workshop, we're all going to go to the tables, the 5 of us, and we're going to dialogue with you all on the topics that we're presenting in the concert. And then at the end of that, we'll be coming back on stage, talking about what we learned at the tables, and playing one more piece at the end. So I just want you to be ready to be able to do that with us. In order to get ready, there's a number of collateral pieces on the table, including about Quinteto Latino. We have our stickers. If you want to take one of those, please feel to take one. And also, most importantly, is this QR code. This QR code has a couple documents. The one that you want for this is the workshop sheet. So we have a sheet that's going to have you the questions that we're going to be dialoguing when we come to the table. So please check that out, and we'll have that ready when we come to the tables. Thank you so much. Here we go.
Well, thank you so much. I'm Leslie Tagorda, she, her, and I'm a founding member of Quinteto Latino. And we are just so glad that you have chosen to spend your time with us today. Now, today, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We want to invite you on a journey. Now, this journey is an experiment where our objective today is discovery, not destination. An invitation into a shared collective space, that's why we have y'all sitting close together, where we will all come together to decide on how we want to make music. For over 20 years, Quinteto Latino has been experimenting with what it means to create our own path in music, to perform, to advocate, educate, and build community in our way, a way that brings us love and joy that we then share with our audiences. This love has kept us together all these years, more than exploring the rare gems of Latino and Latin American classical music, more than just career building, it has been our relationships, our literal musica familia. Now, our familia, we every day choose to be with each other, to rehearse together, to make music together, to make decisions together. That is at the core of Quinteto Latino. That's why today our talk, Leading with Love and Joy, Lighting Your Own Path in Music, that's why we've called it that, because we want to share what our secret sauce is with you. At its heart is a simple question. What happens when you let what you love, who you are, and what you value guide your decisions in music, especially in a system that doesn't always make room for you? For us, lighting our path has meant leading from our values, even if others don't value the same things. It's meant sharing power and letting underserved communities, students, and mentees tell us what they need instead of the other way around. It's meant building long-term relationships with presenters, composers, and audiences as collaborative partnerships. And classical music, well, that's how we practice this. The piece that you just heard is an excerpt of Gabriela Ortiz's Puzzle Tocas. Gabriela is a composer from Mexico whose work is still rarely heard outside of her home country. Now, we chose Puzzle Tocas because it lights us up. It reflects our three values that have guided Quinteto Latino from the beginning. Culture and identity. She's a Latina voice in Mexican composer. Relationships and familia, and musical expression. Choosing music that brings us joy, that reflects who we are and challenges us artistically is our act of leadership that we've been doing now for 21 years. So over the next 80 minutes together, you'll be invited into that same exploration. You are personally going to reflect on what matters most to you in music, what lights you up, what part of your identity that you are proud of. You'll also name the obstacles that get in your way, both the internal blocks we all carry and the real systemic barriers that exist in our fields. Then together, we're gonna discover what might be possible if you lit your own path. So I invite you to bring your whole self into this space, your curiosity, your compassion, and your love for music. There's no right way, only your way. Let's discover it together.
Thank you. Thanks, Leslie. My name's Kyle. I use he, him pronouns. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about this next piece that we're going to share with you. This is composed by a woman named Gabriela Lena Frank. This is a name that I know is no stranger to the Sphinx universe. I hope you're familiar with her work. If you're not, check her out. If you're only familiar with her as a composer, I urge you strongly to look into her advocacy work through the Gabriela Lena Frank Creative Academy of Music. Okay? So this is another theme that's central to what we as Quinteto Latino like to bring to our communities and to the field as a whole, this idea of power sharing. When you achieve or are inequitably bestowed a certain amount of privilege, what do you do with it? How do you leverage it? How do you maybe even weaponize it? Okay? So Gabriela is out there doing that work each and every day. We consider part of our work amplifying her voice and amplifying what she does. Okay, so Leslie's themes here of culture and identity. Gabriela is of mixed Peruvian Chinese and Lithuanian Jewish descent. She's very proud of that. She's most renowned in the classical music world for music that brings to the concert stage and to the Metropolitan Opera, for example. Just saying. That's where her first opera is going to be staged this coming season. Okay, she brings into these spaces sounds that are inspired in large part by Andean, South American, Central American musical traditions that she has studied very intensively and she has incorporated into her language. But she's also very proudly mestiza, and that is a huge part of obviously what we, just the five of us, collectively represent here. We are Quinteto Latino, but we're not all Latine, okay? And this is something that is part of our everyday lives, and in fact, our personal lives, our individual families, too. In Northern California, it's not such a stretch to be up there waving the banner of mestiza identity and the idea that cultures do better when they kind of work together a little bit. Perhaps you've noticed this has gotten a little more fraught of a conversation to have in the very recent past. Okay, so we also see very central to our role as artists to not shy away from that and to bring that message wherever we can, no matter where in the country we're performing. Relationships and familia. Gabriela is an old friend of ours, and in fact, I was lucky enough to be we were college buddies, all right? So we've been at this music thing together since we were undergraduates. At 18, 19 years old, sing in oral skills class at 8 a.m. together, trying to sight sing, right? So many years later, to be able to commission her is a real blessing. It's a joy. Musical expression, how she brings this across. This piece is called Mitos, and it embodies four different, basically paints four different paintings. They're vignettes of various forms of South American culture. We're going to play the first two movements for you, Tunda and Chulpa. Part of our work when we are concertizing, right, when we're in conventional chamber music spaces, we tell these stories a lot. We're being much more conversational because this is inside baseball here that we get to do here today, right? But when we're trying to reach out to, when we're reaching out to audiences and attempting to engage and bring people into the music we're playing, having stories to tell goes a very, very long way. So here's the short version. Tunda is about a shape-shifting entity that lures unsuspecting, depending on the myth and who's telling it, it's either men, that's the sexist version of it, or young children, that's the scaring children into behaving themselves version of the myth, right? Lures them into the woods and paralyzes them and then drinks their blood. So that's Tunda, okay? Chulpa is not a mythological character, but a funerary tower that was that's a central feature in the ongoing story of conquest and colonialism and empire that just continues going in ongoing cycles throughout South America, right? So this was originally Mayan and
Peru and Bolivia, high
okay.
Andes.
High Andes, Peru and Bolivia. These were originally funerary towers that were then taken over and repurposed by the next empire who took over.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamael Smith, and I use they, he pronouns, and I do prefer they, them pronouns. And if everybody could take a second and pull up that worksheet that was part of the QR code we asked you to scan earlier. I'm just going to go through a quick abridged version of my story through the lens of this worksheet, just to give an example of how I interpreted it. Incredible. So let's start with part one. What lights you up? So some words that light me up when I consider life and work outside of music include collaboration, mutual respect, curiosity, spontaneity, having autonomy, as well as representation. And I also I love just to create something for people to consume, whether that I'm very passionate about cooking or getting together to create experiences for people, but I happen to choose music as a form of collaboration within which I bring things for people to experience. So through music, this manifests as exploring color and timbre, how our physicality and our cues can communicate mood, and of course, time. And for an example of this, for those of you who are familiar with Liggity Six Bagatelles, at the end of the first movement, there's this moment where like a train seems like it's chugging out of power, and there's silence, and the bassoon gets to play one last note at the very end of the movement. And if I don't hold space enough to get at least a couple of chuckles after I play that last note, then I haven't waited long enough. I love creating spaces where people feel free in order to experience music and show how they're enjoying it spontaneously and without thought, free of a lot of the rigor and rules that a lot of us have been taught throughout our training on how to be a quote unquote a good audience member. So great, so now we come to part two. What parts of your identity are you proud of? So I'm very proud to be queer, non-binary, and Black. And I'm so incredibly proud that I get to bring this to the spaces within I teach collegiately. I get to create spaces that value musicality and mutual respect, and create spaces where everybody can feel free to take risks. It's so important, especially as our jobs as educators in collegiate environments and also in high school in your private studios, that we create like just stable spaces within which a mistake is an opportunity to learn. A mistake is an opportunity to find a new path towards what we were hoping to speak. And it's just so important, especially in these communities. So up next, we have part three. What are some obstacles, both internal and external, that you've experienced while trying to light your path in music? So I suffer through a lot of imposter syndrome, and what doesn't help that is a lot of these outside factors that I experience. So I'm young, I'm 32, and I teach at a couple colleges. And being young and being a person of color, often whenever there's a question about my department or if there's a question about my class, people skip completely over me. They go to my older white male colleagues, and so things are always constantly bouncing around to 4 people before they finally come to me. Because so many of my colleagues don't see me as faculty. They still see me as a student. In classical music, I've had to deal with a lot of remarks about how I look. I used to have a gigantic afro, and I would have people come up to me and say, hey, maybe next time I'll bring a pair of clippers so that I can see past you. I've experienced a lot of this. As well, it's really awesome. There are a lot of Black bassoonists in the Bay Area, and I've been there for over a decade. And to this day, I often don't get called my own name. I still get called the name of some of the other Black bassoonists who are in the area who've been there longer. And this has led to opportunities going to other people, because I would talk to contractors, I would talk to composers about opportunities. And because they forgot what my name was and assumed what my name was, they would see me later and they're like, oh, it was so nice to have you at that concert or have you be part of this project. And I was like, I actually never got, I never got contacted for any of these things. And on top of that, it can be really, really hard when I correct people about my pronouns, or if I correct people about what my name is, or even people who I tell them, hi, my name is Jamael, and then almost immediately when they introduce me to somebody else, they call me Jamal or Jamael, even though they've never even seen the way that my name is spelled. And when I've advocated for myself in these situations, I've been deemed difficult to work with. I have been not called back because I stood up for myself and was like, hi, please just respect my pronouns and say my name correctly. I'm not really asking for a lot. I'm just being asked to be treated as a colleague, as an equal. And so this leads into part 4. What might be possible if you lit your own path forward? So it's really funny because a lot of these spaces that I experienced a lot of this in were spaces that I didn't exactly want to be part of. These were gigs I was doing because I live in the Bay Area and I got bills to pay, you know? We all live that life. We're all out there trying to sustain ourselves and create stability so that we can be creative. And so in being part of being queer is that found family has been such an important part of growing up for me and the support that I've had in life. And so I finally made the decision to focus on where are the people at that I love working with? What are the projects that bring me joy? And I found a lot of this through chamber music and new music. So I would turn down orchestral things. I turned down these opportunities that had been afforded to me before because I was like, I refuse to disrespect myself by stepping into these places and allowing you all to, not you all, but these situations to treat me however they wanted. And so I found my found family. I found the people who inspire me, the people who make me feel stable, the people who encourage me to take a risk, who if I take a risk and it doesn't work out, they're still excited about what I was trying. These kinds of things, these support structures, these communities are so important to our growth as musicians. And that's something that I've really found here being part of Quinteto Latino, which I don't express enough, I'm very thankful for. So that's how I've lit my own path forward. Despite always being told, oh, you play the bassoon, you have to win an orchestral job to support yourself. I play new music and chamber music basically full time and have some college positions and have crafted the dream career that I've always wanted in spite of what I've always been told. Yeah, so thank you. So this is just like a quick way about how I took my own personal life journey and just put it through the lens of this worksheet. If you have any questions, we'll be coming around during our breakout session and we're happy to talk about it.
Thank you. My name's Diane Grubbe. My pronouns are she, her. And I want to just introduce our next piece, which is really an amazing piece. And I want to build on what Jamael was saying, because after over 20 years together, clearly Quinteto Latino, and I am one of the founding members, we are so devoted to chamber music, but equally devoted to contemporary music. So we do a lot of commissioning. Mitos, which we performed 2 movements of, was a commission of ours. We're very proud of that, to work with such a wonderful composer. Our next piece is not a commission, but it is a very important piece in the wind quintet literature by Tania León, a strong, important female composer from Cuba. So it's called De Memorias. And Tania León will be here. Please put it in your calendar now. She will be talking on Saturday afternoon, I believe at 3 o'clock. So I will be there. I'm so excited. So please make a mental note. And now please enjoy De Memorias by Tania León.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for coming. So for this next part, we are going to spend about 20 minutes or so at the tables. We're going to come out to you all. I'm going to choose 5 tables for us to all be sitting at, and we're going to have a discussion about these topics that we're in that are on this worksheet here. I want to add something that we hadn't said before, and that I was thinking though, that when I think I'm in a position of power as an executive director, as a person of privilege that gets to play the French horn in a lot of different spaces and get to choose those spaces very often. And I think that navigating some of these questions as someone in a position of power, how can we share that power to with others to be able to follow these principles of joy as they are outlined in the worksheet might be another topic to explore, not only your own, what brings you joy, but how you can light the fire in others and acknowledge what brings them joy and do programming that does that. So I'm going to add that little piece for all of us to think about as people of privilege and in power. So what I want is for everyone here to please come to these 5 tables, these 4 tables in the front and that one over there, and we'll all sit at those tables. Everyone here be at those tables, and each of us is going to go to a table and have a discussion with you all. Then we're going to come back on stage and kind of report back from that. We'll also do some Q&A time there, and then we'll play one more piece. So if everyone could stand up and go to these 4 tables in the front and that one over there. Want to say something?
How long do we have the discussion?
It's going to be about 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. Okay, wrap up your conversations, and we will go back on stage. Quinteto Latino. Okay, we're going to end our conversations now. And Quinteto Latino, please come back on stage. We're going to do a minute of reporting back. A minute, 1 minute or so. Okay, a minute or so. Please take a sticker. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so we're just going to do 1 minute share back for each table, however you set up your share back, okay? Whether you do it or someone at your table does it. And we're going to, we asked Victor here to just share something about his own story and how it intersected with what we were doing. Thanks, Victor. Just 1 minute each.
So I'm talking about my story or what we talked about? Either one. Okay, because I was pretty late. So hello everybody. My name is Victor Diaz. I'm a violist. I did SOPA yesterday. It's a very meaningful opportunity, of course. I'm glad to be here with all of you. We were discussing about the barriers of our music system, which we can be talking about for a long time. But yes, I guess I was mentioning about how, like, in my life there are some a lot of obstacles in terms of like financial obstacles, and what else? We were talking about how music should be more appreciated in the school system and at the universities. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our table had some very interesting perspectives on both identity and safety and education. Who decided who wanted to speak here and share their...
I was like, should I stand up? I don't want to. Okay. Just so you can see my figure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicholas. I'm a violist. Our group has a very meaningful talk about education, teaching, and identity. And what we came to the conclusion of is that we have a desire to have choices that are not disruptive of our students, but impactful to everybody, but also not disruptive to our lives. As a teacher or as a performer in general, you're giving a lot of yourself at all times. And personally, my question is, where is the line between my students getting everything they need, but me not hearing voices at night? Or me getting, all the sleep I need, everything I need that fulfills me without compromising what my students need. Personally, I'm in a very foggy place of student, teacher, performer, professor, all those things. So navigating all these spaces and having the answers isn't really working right now. But our discussion was basically, how can we still show up in a positive light at all times without, feeling like we're drained? So if anybody would like to, at any time, come up and talk about that, that'd be great.
Thank you. Yeah, self-care. Thank you. Who's going to...
Whoever would like to share from what we discussed.
Just for 1 minute, and I'll stop you.
Hey everyone, my name is Paola Marquez. I am a woman, and one of the things that we were talking about is the labels in general, like how people want us to be versus what we want to be, and how create a path that, how you beautifully say it, is the right path for me or for you. So we found that very enlightening, that basically we are all in the same boat, and that we are trying to figure out our path, and that it's challenging, and we have really to work here and figure out how to go through the systemic, issues that are happening in our reality life. And also, I love that you say about self-care, because healthy boundaries is what make you resilient long term.
Thank you. All right, who over here can share? I can pick, or you all can pick.
All right. Hi, my name is Carlos Clark. I didn't get to share, so I think that's why he picked on me. That's okay. So I'm a bassoonist and I play in the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra as a Paul J. Ross Fellow. And this is my this is my last year of my 2-year contract there, and it's taught me a lot, and especially about number 3, the third question, what are the obstacles that get in your way? And I feel like coming from the orchestra world, there's a lot of obstacles that I feel like I can't really help move sitting as a bassoonist in an orchestra, so I'd like to be in administration. That's my next goal. And that connects question number 3 to question number 1. If question number 3 is talking about obstacles that seem unmovable, if we look at the canon and really look at it and see what purpose it had for what people, we really see that music will get these people to move. It's just it matters what context, and yeah, I guess context. And that's what I want to be able to help with, is moving the obstacles with the product that we're already good at.
All right, thank you.
So my name is Ricardo Sardinas, and I'm an 80s student at the Boston Conservatory. I'm a cellist. And in our table, we were discussing about the obstacles that we face, and realized that for many of us, if not most of us, the obstacles were mainly mental obstacles, and how important that is, as well as physical obstacles of like financial obstacles. And we also talked about talked about the obstacles, and we talked about how to get opportunities to perform, and even like if you have an idea of something you want to perform, how to get it done, and how difficult is that. Those were 2 of the things we talked about.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm seeing a lot of shaking heads from what everyone is saying. We have, here's how we're going to end it. We're going to have about 10 minutes to answer some questions or so, and then we're going to just do one more quick piece. So if anybody has any questions or online questions, we have 10 minutes to answer some now.
I was wondering what kind of spaces you guys perform in, or like what parts of the community you guys are the most active in?
Thanks. I'll answer the question. I'll answer this one, and I try to spread it for all of us to answer. So it's really evolved over the years. We really try to highlight Latino-led nonprofit partners. Okay, that is a big lift in classical music. There aren't a lot, so we have to build community with Latino partners around how to present classical music, what does that mean, what are these instruments, what's a concert, when you clap, like all that stuff. And we have to value what they bring to the projects as well. And then we also play within traditional classical music systems, so traditional presenters and touring. We're here, we'll be in New York in next month at some series there and at MSM. So it's a big mix. We also have multiple ensembles. So we have Quinteto Latino, the core group who's been together for 20 years. We also have a fellows program. So this year we have a wind quartet of recent graduates and students from the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. Our fellow, Fabio, is our bassoon fellow. Fabio is also a coordinator and an employee, as are all the fellows are employees. The fellowship is a paid fellowship. They get paid for every minute of meeting, rehearsal, and concertizing. And arranging, every minute is paid per hour to them. That's our commitment to those artists as valued workers for the organization. So we often bring funders to the table too, so we have an active development team that brings funders to projects as well, whenever we can. Other question? Is there another question? Oh.
Around our table, you mentioned that Quinteto Latino has primarily Latinx volunteer funders, and I wondered if you could speak a little bit more about how you develop that and
Yeah.
process.
So the question is around how I mentioned that a majority of our donors are Latinos. And this is definitely my dream. To what the risk in classical music is, how do we build a Latino-led, Latino-serving system, Latino majority board and ED, but Latino majority donors. That means people who are writing checks and giving money, majority of them are Latinos. So how do we do that? First, we staff our development team with Latinos, okay? Because then the cultural competency is there. And we look, how are we talking to donors? Are we using language that's available and for wealthy white donors? Or are we using language that's more accessible for everybody? And what things are we talking about in those? Who are we? We put on an event and we look at the people that are RSVPing and who we're inviting, being really careful that we're inviting as many, a majority BIPOC donors to those events and reaching out to them so that's how we keep it majority Latino. And it's also just natural because of what we do. We work in Latino communities, our education programs are majority Latino students, we have majority Latino audiences, and the pieces that we play and the culture that we talk about is Latino and Latin American. So it's a natural fit, but that's really the experiment. What that means is that our arc to achieving more donations is very long. Diversity is expensive and time consuming. It is for us too. So it might be easier to speak the language of donors that are more affluent. A lot of our Latino donors are affluent, but we have to develop our own language because it's not the language of philanthropy. Latino culture is not the language of philanthropy, okay? It's not. So we have to develop our own language around it. Thanks, that's a great question. Thank you.
We have a question here. Anonymous asks, how do you decipher your repertoire? What are some factors that you may consider?
How do we choose? One more time. How do we choose our repertoire?
Right. How do you choose your repertoire, and what are some factors that you may consider? For instance, I guess we heard Gabriela Frank, we heard Tania León, people of color. So how else do you program your whole concert?
Okay, well that's the ground floor, and that's been central to the mission since we started more than 20 years ago. Armando was very clear about that from the very beginning. We had a couple of false starts. There are a couple of moments where we're like, let's put some normal woodwind quintet music alongside this and see what happened, and we didn't really enjoy it. And the thing that really shocked us and was most telling is that it didn't necessarily improve our reception with the audiences, right? And in fact, we found that when we played from our values and from what got us excited, what we were just more into musically, invariably, those were the comments we got, even from the nice white donors of the Midwestern Chamber Music Society, fill in the blank, right? They would come up to us afterwards and say, "Oh, I really liked that piece on the second program. That was very interesting." Okay, so we after those lessons, we just dug into that. It's like we're not gonna hedge on that anymore. As for what we play, we wish we could play everything. There are so many amazing pieces out there. The factors tend to be about relationships, right? If we have talked to the composer, the chances are pretty good we're going to be more invested in it. And then we also have to think about the audiences, right? We do have to think about balancing programs in a way that we can, I often think of the kind of Trojan horse approach, right? It's like if we have some pieces that are a little bit more conventional sounding, then we can get pieces onto the program that are more challenging, right? More challenging aesthetically. And we always do our best to contextualize them for the audience and just make them as excited about them as we are. That's the hope.
In the beginning, Armando is really clear that we don't want to push composers that people are already familiar with. Piazzolla, and brain not working. Villa Lobos, that's what, yeah. We performed the Villa Lobos quintet once and never again. Not because we didn't like it, but because these were composers that people already knew. We wanted to celebrate the rare gems, right? And so then we started noticing that our programs were all men. And they were like, we need to do something about that.
You're 12 when we noticed.
You're 12.
We're like, oh my God, what do we do?
We take a while. It's like a good, mole. But today's program, if you notice, we played all women, right? And yeah. Oh, yes. And so we do we're experimenting with the pieces that are coming in. For non-binary folks, for trans folks, for young folks. We're really experimenting and pushing the boundaries of identity to see what music can we celebrate and amplify. I just wanted to add that.
Right. Okay. Well, we're gonna finish up and play one more piece. I could say a couple. Oh, there's another question. We're just out of time, so I think we have to stop. Yeah. You want to say something? Okay. So. What do I want? I want to be able to stop on time for them. So we'll play one more piece now to invite you. First of all, one thing that came out that I was thinking about that I wanted to highlight was, okay, we've been doing this for 21 years. We've been together 21 years. We rehearse weekly. Okay, we're committed as an organization. Almost every single presenter that hires has a Latino, either at the head. They're almost never at the head. Or staffed up high, or there's some bridge builder that's a Latino within that institution that will get us the gig. Rarely, I can think of one concert, major event last year that wasn't the case. So obviously we can speak to any audience, and we do very well. But that's the reality of the field. The building the bridge to just being able to think about how we hire us is very high. Whether it be woodwinds or Latino or some other thing, or the music that we play, I'm not sure what it is, but I just want to name that fact. That's our experience. 21 years in the field, that's what we experience. What I also want to do is invite you to our table to continue this discussion. So we have a table. We're going to be personing the table, all of us. And please, you can take the collateral. Everyone take our sticker. Lo Latino siempre brilla means the Latinos always shine. Okay? We just, I have brought these stickers for you. Please take one if you want. And there'll be more at our table. Or if you want to continue discussion with anyone else or me, feel free. I can give you my card. It has my cell phone number on it and my email if you want to have this discussion still. And continue it deeply. We'll be here the whole conference talking about this topic, talking about this is what we are, performance, advocacy, and education. So those are the stuff that we love talking about. This last piece we're going to play is by Manuel Ponce, who's a Mexican composer who's beloved and well-known all over Mexico and almost never played in the U.S. Great example this piece was written about 100 years ago. And we love playing it. We've been playing it for a long time. It was my mom's favorite piece. That's what I always think about when she's no longer alive, but I always think about her when we get to play this piece. It's called Estrellita, which means little star. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. If you check out this card, I just wanted to mention we're here now. Tomorrow night, we are hosting a mixer in the restaurant here. So please feel free to come. It's at 6:30 tomorrow. I know there's other events happening. Feel free to pop in whenever you can. Our fellows are here, and they're also performing on Saturday. So if you want to see them in action doing their education, some of their education work and talking about the education work that they do, please come to their concert at 12:30 on Saturday. And of course, they'll be in the expo hall the whole time. So thank you so much.